Hello and thanks again for joining me for another Project Zomboid video. So this is a companion video to my playlist of videos about the Backdoor Boardwalk to Louisville. Basically in this video I'm just going to be going through the game settings and character build that I used for that run. The link to that playlist will be in the description below, so if you haven't checked those out then check those out. But this is also a good character build for any type of outdoor character that you want to do that lives off grid. So alright, so let's get into it. So obviously it was a solo game, custom sandbox, no mods. Started off in a riverside, and if you watch the previous videos I do show the route that I took. Alright, now I do have a preset here that I saved for it. So I had the zombie count at low. Now this was just an experimental building run that I was doing. I wasn't really planning on making videos from it, but anyway, I wanted to be more focused on building. If you choose the builder preset, like builder, it comes up as low anyway. So anyway, let's get back to custom sandbox, riverside. So yep, we put the zombie count down to low. Now the time. Alright, so starting off with the month, I changed that to March. So being an outdoor run, I spent the first couple of weeks in a warehouse, and the rest of the whole run this character has been alive for 1 year and 10 months. All of that apart from the first couple of weeks is living outside. And so starting in March, that starts you off in spring. Gives you a bit more time to prepare before the winter. The start day I rolled back to day one. What that does, it doesn't make a massive difference that I've noticed, but basically what it does is there'll be slightly smaller groups or slightly less zombies like straight away as soon as you spawn, and they'll gradually increase as the days go on, but there'll still be zombies around. Now the start hour, so the month, that one's purely for outdoor because of the outdoor run. These two I normally do like every run that I do. They're sort of my go-to settings. So start hour at 5 AM. The reason I do this is because of life and living. Okay, so normally it'll start at 9 AM. Now life and living TV shows are on the TV in your first week at 6 AM. You get the cooking show, which will give you cooking experience. At 12 PM, you're going to get the woodworking show, which gives you woodwork experience. And at 6 PM, you're going to get survival exposure, which gives you things like foraging, fishing, hunting, farming, etc. Things like that. So if you start at 9, well, you've missed the first cooking show. Okay, so your first cooking show, or your first show that you're going to find is going to be woodwork. Start at 5 AM. Regardless of what time you spawn in, as soon as you spawn in, there's going to be a life and living show running. Okay, so as soon as you spawn in, turn on a TV. There's going to be a life and living show running. So if you start at 5 AM, you spawn in, you're lucky enough to have a TV, turn it on, turn it into life and living, you're going to catch an extra fishing show at 5 AM, followed up by the cook show at 6 AM. So you've got 2 TV shows down, bit of experience in your first hour. So moving on to the world, the only thing I changed there was the light bulbs. because it's a pain in the butt changing light bulbs. However, I did not use any lights in this run at all, really. Nature, I unticked snow on the ground. That's purely for graphical reasons. I'm running on a laptop, which does tend to heat up a bit, and it is summer here in Australia. So, you know, it's purely just for PC performance, and the only change it makes in the game is a visual change. Doesn't change anything else. Sadistic AI Director I left as standard. Now this is one thing that if I were to go back and try this run again from the start, I would have changed that to sometimes. And the reason behind that is because on the boardwalk, most of the time, most of the whole run was spent just building the boardwalk, chopping down trees, building the boardwalk, chopping down trees, and I really, really didn't venture too far away from the boardwalk most of the whole run, apart from a few outlying areas like to go to gas stations or go and raid some military supplies and that sort of thing. But other than that, did get, you know, the occasional groups of zombies that would come to me. But otherwise, unless I actually went out exploring out in the rest of the world, which I didn't do much. Yeah, I think putting that helicopter to sometimes probably would have stirred things up a bit and not made it such a lonely experience. Okay, so moving on to meta. Okay, so I hardly ever looted any houses in this run. Wasn't planning on doing so. Didn't really go through many residential areas at all, so I just disabled that. Now, I'm not too sure whether police blockades come up under zone stories or not. But anyway, the reason I did these two, definitely vehicles. The reason I definitely do vehicles is because of things like it'll increase your rates of having things like this. The vehicles you'll find that need fixing up, and there'll be a lug wrench, tire, spare tire, and usually you'll find a decent vehicle as well that all you need to do is pop on the good tire and it's good to go. So, you know, that increases your chance of finding that sort of thing. It also increases your chances of finding a trailer. And things like ambulances, which early on in the game, good way to get a bag. They have the trauma bags, which is the same as a duffel bag really, and medical supplies. You also get the police blockades, which, you'll get shotguns, ammo. You'll have the police zombies that'll be wearing bulletproof vests and have nightsticks on them. So that's all pretty handy. But probably the main most important reason is because of these roadworks trucks. And, a lot of the time, not all the time, but, quite often you will find a sledgehammer next to these when you find them. Sometimes there'll be a shovel or something else. But the sledgehammer can be hard to find sometimes. And so that's the main reason for those settings is, just to make it a bit easier to find the old sledgehammer. So, okay, moving on. Loot rarity. Now, I did change survival essentials, mainly for the nails, because building a boardwalk did go through a lot of the nails. Although, I don't think I needed to change that. I could have left it at rare because I still had some 70 odd boxes of nails when I finished the boardwalk. So, other. Now look, I'm not sure whether backpacks come under survival essentials or other, so I put other. Moving on to character, we did start off with a starter kit. As I said, was focused on building. Didn't want to muck around too much. Having that packet of chips with the very underweight, get started on the food. It all helps. Rear vulnerability to low, because I hate getting jacked from behind. Did turn on the multi-weapon hit. And these are some settings that I would really recommend to new players if you're having a bit of trouble starting out, because your first few days is probably your hardest. Just getting yourself established, and those little things can help out quite a bit. So the in-game map, I did turn on the mini-map. Vehicles, I left that default. Zombie lore, the only thing I did was drag down. Not a fan of that. And the advanced zombie option. So this population multiplier, that changes automatically from this low count. So that's where the 0.35 comes from. Population peak day are set to 365. So what this means is that normally you'll spawn in, and you'll have a huge population of zombies right from the get-go. And they'll gradually increase over time. And in a normal game, it takes like 28 days, so a month to hit full population. What this does is it slows that down, and just the population will amass over time gradually. A lot of people have respawn disabled completely by putting in 0. I set it to the maximum, which equates to a year. And that's basically the settings there. So onto the character build. So we started off with occupation of Sparky, which is Australian for electrician. And so usually my go-to is burglar, because I like to be able to get into and hotwire a vehicle early on in the game. So I normally go with burglar. In this instance, the plan was to live off grid. Didn't want to spend a hell of a lot of time looting and looking for the how to read generators book. So starting off as an electrician, you can use generators straight away without the book. So that's why I took electrician. Couple that up with amateur mechanic. That gives you 1 point mechanics, and then all you need to do is grind 1 extra point in mechanics along with the electrician, and then you're able to hotwire the cars. And it's quite easy to just grind to level 2 mechanics from there. And having this does give a boost in your mechanic skill as well, so it's pretty quick. So for the negative traits, we went very underweight. High thirst, so you can get rid of the very underweight just by eating lots of fatty foods and all that sort of stuff. Slow healer, claustrophobic. Okay, so living out in a boardwalk, spent most of the time living outdoors. But with claustrophobic, if you want to sleep in a bedroom, forget it. Unless you've got booze or alcohol, pills, whatever. Conspicuous, smoker, weak stomach, clumsy, slow reader. Now, I didn't go for the prone to illness because living outdoors, and even though I do have outdoorsmen, I have had runs where I've had outdoorsmen and I've still caught a cold out in the snow and all of that sort of shit. So I didn't want to risk that. So we took dexterous, outdoorsman, wakeful, because I prefer to get more things done in the day than spend it all sleeping. Amateur mechanic we went over. Fast learner. Keen hearing. because, you know, I don't like being snuck up on behind from the Zeds, so, you know, that helps out there. Stout for a bit of strength. And Hunter, mainly, I mean, it does give you some aiming, but mainly the main reason for that is you automatically have all of the recipes to make traps, which means I don't need the magazines. I could start hunting straight away. So basically that's the character build, and the game settings that I used for this run. And on the left there, that was my starting stats, and on the right there, that is my stats for that character after a year and 10 months. A lot of that strength, sprinting, fitness. So I did exercise every day, pretty much every day. So I usually wear 2 watches, and I have one with an alarm set for at the start of the game. I have it set to 10 to 6. That gets you up in just enough time to catch TV show. After that, after the TV show stop, I set it to 7. That just keeps me in a good sleep routine. I have the other watch set to 12 p.m. because at midday I would stop and do exercises, and that means as long as you're in bed by midnight, then you're going to sleep through all the fatigue and the muscle soreness from the exercises. And so, yeah, that's how I got fitness and strength up, and sprinting, because you can sprint to your heart's content along the boardwalk. You can carry a lot of very extremely heavy loads along the boardwalk quite safely, and you can be extremely exhausted, and it's quite safe on the boardwalk. So, you know, every time I move my base up, as I built the boardwalk up closer and closer to Louisville, I would move my base up. And carrying things like the antique oven. Most of everything I moved by foot. The only really time I went with a vehicle was taking my initial supplies to the start point and then going on gas runs to fill up gas cans for the generator, and bringing home some furniture, fridges and that. Other than that, everything else I moved along the boardwalk on foot, which was quite often extreme heavy loads. Took several trips to move a base, and so that built up a lot of sprinting and a lot of strength and fitness. So there we go. That's the character build and the game settings that I used for my Backdoor Boardwalk build. So if you did enjoy this video, please leave me a like or a comment down below. If you'd like to see more, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.